I hope you're good. I hope you're great. I hope you're having a lovely day. After the attack on Israel, I thought that we should speak about the war that's going on in Israel and Palestine. Now, we can't talk about this conflict without talking about their history, why it started, and why it's continuing. So, that's what we're here to talk about today. Do forgive me, I'm not that well versed in this whole conflict. I am very much a novice. I'm not gonna act like I know everything about this. So if you guys do have comments or somehow feel I got something wrong, let me know on my Twitter. I'll link them in the description. Without further ado, let's just get into it. So one day, all the way back in the 19th century in 1890 something, a group of Israelites, they came through into what was then known as Palestine, because Palestine was its own state, was its own country. The Israelites, I don't even know if that's the proper name, Israelites, Israelians. The Israelians come into Palestine and they take over a piece of land, and that is their land. Cool. They try to expand over the years and so forth and so forth. Now let's skip all of that and go into World War One. World War One is when the British came into Palestine. Now Palestine was obviously the power there. They were the ones that were in charge. For unknown reasons or reasons that I have not researched yet, the British aligned themselves with the Israelis, who were less in power and had less of a foothold in the country. Now, if this is because they felt like the Israelis had less experience or they could take advantage of that, I don't know. What I do know is that the Israelis and the British Empire worked together to take over what was then the Palestinian land. We skip into World War II. We all know what happened with World War II and the Jewish. Just for context, the Israelis are Jewish and the Palestinians are Muslim. I mean, it doesn't work like that. It's not like that black and white. There are some Palestinians who are Jewish, some Muslims are Israeli. But just to make things easier for us to wrap our heads around, majority of the Palestinians are Muslims and majority of the Israelis are Jewish. Now, we all know what happened with the Jewish in World War II. The Jewish were, the Holocaust and everything. Some of the Jewish fled to Palestine, and already Palestine and the Israelis were having their own thing there, their own battle there, their own war there. So what the UN comes in, steps in and says, guys, why don't you guys just share this land instead of fighting this war and make peace, because it is what it is. And by this time, the Israelis had already grown in the land of the Palestinians, or of the land that was the initially of the Palestinians, however way you want to look at it. But both sides were like, no, we don't want to do this because this land is ours. Both sides were saying this. They both do have some kind of religious claims, but that is, I'm sure, before history was starting even to begin to be recorded. So no one knows 100% for certain, or if they do, I have not seen anything that says otherwise. Anyway, after all of this, somewhere, somehow, the Israelis did get their own independence from the British. As you know, as I said before, that the British were doing their conquering thing. So the Israelis got their independence or their freedom from the British. After this, it was war, some more war. The Israelis captured more land. And as the Israelis are capturing more land, the Palestinians are being driven out to the surrounding countries. Countries like Lebanon, Syria, Jordan. So this is the situation currently. That's why Palestine is attacking Israel. Israel is chasing more Palestinians out of Israel. It's just the whole compound reasons why they're going to war and going at each other. This is all for land, whereas they could have shared the land or taken the peace treaty or taken the initiative that was made by the UN. It's just something that we as South Africans could understand in a way. I mean, just think about it like this. I'm just gonna make everything black and white, literally and figuratively. So imagine we South Africans, we here in South Africa, just black people. White people come and they do their thing. They come and take a portion of some land. Then from that land, they grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until there are barely any black people around. Is taking off of the country something that us as South Africans would be happy with? Because I know how some South Africans feel about the land appropriation without compensation already. So it's a bit of a tough one if you guys try to put yourselves in their shoes. It is something that you can't just be like, let's just share the land now, because there's no point in all of this fighting. And I think it's something that we as South Africans can learn from and just see how war and fighting is just not good for us in general, because it's not looking good, bruv. But anyway, besides that little tangent, the people of Israel feel like they are protecting their land and their people. The people of Israel are fighting to get back their land and stop being refugees in other countries. So it's tough, man. It's tough. This is not like an easy situation. I've just simplified it a whole lot, because this is not something that you can just explain in like 1 10-minute podcast or whatever the case may be. But tell me what you guys think. If you guys feel like I got some stuff wrong, please let me know. I will try and correct it on the next episode. If no one says anything, I'm gonna feel like I'm right and there's nothing I need to correct. And while we're on the topic of people being separated from other people and the segregation of peoples and so forth, President Joe Biden is continuing with the wall. You guys remember the wall that Donald Trump was crying about? Yeah, that same wall, President Joe Biden is continuing with building that wall, even though he said that he would not build that wall when he was running for president. His reasoning for continuing building the wall is saying that the monies have already been allocated to building that wall and they can't be redirected. The money can't be donated. So that money has to be used only for the wall. I just thought that was a interesting thing to speak about. But that's all there is from that. Also, something very interesting that I came across this week is that us as South Africa, we were overcharged for the vaccine, the COVID-19 vaccine. Overcharged way more than the European countries. There hasn't been an explicit reason as to why. It's just that we were. But we can infer and know that this was all just for an extra dime. But as to why it has to be on the exploitation of Africans, or specifically South Africans, I can't tell you why. Because they could have made more money overcharging European countries and making it less for poorer countries like South Africa. This was all made public by the HJI, which stands for Health Justice Initiative. I'm gonna link everything, all of their findings down below, but the amounts are crazy. We were charged 33% more than the European countries. That is insane. It's just sad to hear things like this are happening to us, because imagine being charged way more because you're more desperate. Hey man, that's why I always say, man, poverty is a curse. And whatever we do as South Africans, we have to fight this poverty, because we're being taken advantage of by these huge corporations, multinational corporations. I mean, seriously, how can you be making money off of suffering like this? Yeah, it's sad to see, but we live in a very strange world, a very cold world, and it doesn't really surprise me too much, because they are pharmaceutical companies, and pharmaceutical companies are the worst companies, because they can make a medicine now for 5 rand and then charge you 300 rand for that medicine and tell you, bruh, deal with it. I just do hope that this was not in vain. The work of the HCI was not in vain, and I hope that more findings like this do come forth. I hope that there's more transparency like this in the future, because geez, these guys are making so much money. I mean, what was it? Over $700 million made from us. You guys are the ones that pay tax. Like, we pay tax and we're being charged this much. Imagine like our tax money, and we're being overcharged for a vaccine that was actually hurting people too. It wasn't even a vaccine that you could say, I know it works perfectly. Some people even started getting COVID after they got the vaccine. So it's a bit crazy. It's a bit crazy. But that is it from me, guys. It's been a crazy episode. It's been a crazy week. I know I didn't upload last week, but yeah, you guys, hey, it's tough, man. This Mr. South Africa thing is tough. It's not easy. It's not light work at all. So, but I am willing to do it, and I've put myself in the ballot for doing it. So I will not complain at all. But what I will ask is for you guys to continue voting, and please be there on the finale in Midrand on the 11th of November. Tickets and the voting link are in the description in this podcast. If you cannot find them in this podcast, they are in my Instagram bio. They are in all of my social media bios, actually. And I am Lefataleni on all of them. So search Lefataleni on any social media platform, and I'm there. Guys, you have no excuses to not find these links and purchase a ticket, especially because I would love to see you guys there at the finals. Would love to see the people who have been supporting me, and just to show my appreciation and my gratitude in person. But with all of that said, this has been Lefataleni signing out.